Just ahead on CTV News.
The U.S. Army is gearing up to celebrate a major milestone birthday. I'm Katara Jones. I'll have everything you need to know about those preparations coming up on CTV News.
Plus, the DMV's first crime dashboard shows a decrease throughout the region. And the county sheriff warns about a scam coming back with a twist.
This scam is actually targeting some of our older folks, people who are already established, people who have rather jobs, who don't want to be picked up or arrested, and do not understand exactly, hey, why they're receiving this message.
Those stories and more on CTV News, starting now.
Good evening, this is CTV News for June 11th. I'm Michaela Newton.
And I'm Marquette Shepard. Thanks for joining us. Well, preparations are underway in our nation's capital for the U.S. Army's birthday celebration this weekend. So if you're planning to go to the free event, you'll definitely want to plan ahead.
That's right. CTV's Katira Jones is at the intersection of 15th Street and Constitution Avenue as crews are working to get ready for the festivities.
That's right. In just 3 days, about 200,000 people are planning to flock to our nation's capital for the U.S. Army's 250th birthday celebration, which is set for this Saturday, June 14th. Now, with this big event, will include a massive parade followed by a concert and then a fireworks show. So if you're planning on attending, here's a few things you need to know. First, the parade will begin at 6:30 p.m. starting on 23rd Street and Constitution Avenue. The parade will be showcasing U.S. Army pride, which will include more than 6,000 soldiers, 150 military vehicles, and helicopters. After the parade will be a concert at 7:30 p.m. at the Eclipse and then a fireworks show. With an event of this magnitude, security will be extremely tight. 19 miles of fencing will be along the parade route. Now, your best mode of transportation to get to any of these festivities is to take Metro. The Red Line trains will run every 6 minutes during the day and every 10 minutes after 9:30 p.m. And Blue, Orange, and Silver Line trains will run every 12 minutes during the day and every 15 minutes after 9:30 p.m. WMATA recommends that Metro riders wanting to attend the parade should get off at stations near the security checkpoints. Now, trying to drive into D.C. to get to this event is just simply not a good idea. Metropolitan Police say there will be parking restrictions and street closures. Some streets in D.C. are already restricting parking, and dozens of road closures are planning to go into effect on Thursday and last until Monday, June 16th. Now, with an event of this size, it's going to cost a hefty penny. Reports show that the U.S. Army's 250th birthday celebration could cost about $25 to $45 million. Reporting in the district, Katara Jones, CTV News.
Meantime, if you have plans to fly out of Reagan National Airport Saturday evening, keep in mind that the FAA is temporarily restricting planes from arriving and departing the airport during the flyover and fireworks display.
And to find out if your flight has been impacted, visit flyreagan.com. Well, for the first time, the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments is unveiling a near real-time crime dashboard for D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. Here's how it works.
Crime fighting going forward in this region, this is critically important.
The Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments unveiled the launch of a new regional real-time crime dashboard. The dashboard tracks major violent and property crimes across the D.C. metro area.
Everything is so interconnected in this region, and crime is definitely included in that. So we have to work collaboratively.
We're unique in this region because if you go into the middle of a state and you got a big county, everything's occurring in that county. What's occurring outlying them doesn't really matter that much. But here, Our offenders cross lines back and forth numerous times during events.
The dashboard shows crime in the DMV area decreased 13% in the first 4 months of 2025 compared to last year. Clark Mercer, executive director of COG, says the dashboard was created in response to troubling trends the organization observed.
Crime data normally lags because it takes up to a year for the FBI to confirm that a certain type of crime was in fact a murder or a rape or a carjacking.
Being able to address the issues that not just affect your community, but affect the entire communities of our region in negative fashion. We're able to address those in a more timely fashion.
The new dashboard can be found on COG's website, mwcog.org/crime data.
Well, it looks official, it sounds convincing, but it's a scam with dangerous new twists. Scammers posing as Prince George's County deputies are now using the actual names of real officers and telling residents they have outstanding warrants. The most troubling part, victims are being told to bring money orders to the sheriff's office parking lot to settle the case. Take a listen to one of the calls.
Good morning, Mr. Ebony Banzigo. This is Sergeant Atkins from the Prince George County Sheriff's Office, Civil Warrants Division. I was calling about some very important legal matters, ma'am. If you could, please give me a call back in my office. My extension is 301-966-2806. This is dealing with some very urgent legal matters, ma'am. I advise you to call me as soon as possible. Thank you.
The sheriff's office says the scammers are preying on fear, and they're targeting seniors, immigrants, and non-English speaking residents who may be less likely to question the call. Sheriff John Carr says it's a sophisticated scheme, but it's also blatant fraud.
The sheriff's office would never ask you for any money or gift cards to address or deal with a warrant or any civil writ. So if possible, please make sure that, one, you do your due diligence, take your time. You can go on our website to see if you do have an open warrant, or go to Maryland Judiciary Case Search and look up your name and information. Also, call from a different number. Do not call from the same number that they called you on, and then try to get that information. But trust and believe, we would never, one, call you and ask you for any monetary donation, gift cards, money orders, and we would also send you a letter by mail.
Sheriff Carr says if you get a call like this, hang up, don't pay, and report it immediately to the police.
And we now know the name of the victim who died in a shooting in Landover over the weekend. The victim is identified as 31-year-old Daquan Clinkscale. Officers arrived at the 400 block of Warfield Drive early Saturday morning for the report of an unresponsive man. Officers found Clinkscale outside in a parking garage suffering from a gunshot wound. He was pronounced dead on the scene, and a reward of up to $25,000 is being offered for information leading to an arrest and indictment in this case. Meanwhile, we're learning more tonight about a deadly shooting in Langley Park nearly 2 years ago. Prince George's County Police have now charged 33-year-old Rudy Lopez Garcia with the 2023 murder of 22-year-old Aristides Flores Rosales. Rosales was found shot to death inside an apartment building on 14th Avenue. A second man was also shot but survived. Police say the deadly shooting followed a dispute. The two men didn't know each other, and Lopez Garcia is now facing murder charges and being held without bond.
There are conflicting accounts tonight about why Maryland's head of juvenile services has left his post. Governor Moore says Vincent Schiraldi was asked to resign, but Schiraldi claims he stepped down on his own terms. Schiraldi's departure comes after bipartisan pressure from state leaders to remove him as secretary. Republican leaders in particular have been vocal about Schiraldi's lenient policies posing a threat to public safety and the agency's mission. And for more than 30 years, Gustavo Torres has led the immigrant rights organization CASA. Well, today, the executive director of the largest Latino and immigrant organization in the Mid-Atlantic has announced his retirement. Under Torres's leadership, CASA, which began 34 years ago in a church basement in Tacoma Park, now boasts 170,000 members across Maryland, Virginia, Pennsylvania, and Atlanta. Over the years, the organization has become a leading voice on immigrant rights and policy issues at the local, state, and national levels. CASA plans to have a nationwide search for a replacement. Torres says he wants to spend more time with his family. He steps down in November.
Well, the Trump administration is taking action that could make it easier to fire federal employees. The administration is attempting to implement a new schedule policy career designation for federal employees in policy influencing positions. Also, the president's so-called Big Beautiful Bill would require new federal employees to decide whether to waive their civil service protections in exchange for lower federal payments toward their retirement benefits. The American Federation of Government Employees criticized the plan, saying it offered no real choice to incoming federal employees. And you're watching CTV News. I'm Michaela Newton.
And I'm Marquette Shepard. Still to come, a new play has made its way onto the stage at the Bowie Playhouse.
That's right. After the break, hear from a member of the cast and crew. We'll be right back.
I am the kitchen manager at an elementary school. Lunchtime, it's a good time for the students. They come down, they're happy, they're excited. I just hope that at the end of the school year, they are able to have the availability of nutritious meals.
No school means no lunch for millions of kids in the summer. Let's come together, food banks, families, and people like you, to make sure no child goes without food in the summer. We need your help.
Welcome back. Mental health services for Maryland students just got a real boost to the tune of $96 million in grant funding. State lawmakers, along with the Maryland Consortium on Coordinated Community Supports and others, made the announcement today at Lawyers Mall in Annapolis. The programs, which will be aimed at supporting student mental health for the 2025-2026 school year, will serve 80% of Maryland schools in all 24 jurisdictions, including Prince George's County.
There are services in some schools that families and children can have access to address their mental health needs, improve their mental health needs, and where necessary, deep end services on an individual basis.
This is a good thing because our students need the supports. They need to be wrapped around, and they need to have those services that are going to help them learn so that they can be the best selves they can be as they exit school into whatever career and future they want to have.
The grants were funded by the General Assembly through the Blueprint for Maryland's Future. And the University System of Maryland is giving its schools the green light to consider furloughs and temporary pay cuts next year. It's a response to major state and federal funding losses, more than $150 million slashed by the Maryland legislature alone. Now it's up to each of the system's 12 university presidents to decide if furloughs or salary reductions make sense in their 2026 budgets. At the University of Maryland, President Darrell Pines has already asked departments to tighten spending.
A new report ranks Maryland 21st in the nation for overall childhood well-being. The data comes from the annual Kids Count report, which measures states in 4 key areas: economic well-being, education, health, and community support. Maryland did make the top 10 in economic well-being, the area where the state had its biggest gain compared to last year. And President Trump's new travel ban went into effect this week, impacting 12 countries, most from the Middle East and Africa. The ban has received less backlash than Trump's Muslim ban back in 2017. However, some travelers of color have reported experiencing unnecessary questioning, even while traveling from countries not on the list. The ban does not apply to visa holders from banned countries who obtained their visa before Monday.
Well, the health of the Chesapeake Bay is deteriorating. The University of Maryland Center for Environmental Science gave the Bay a C on its 2025 report card, a downgrade from last year's all-time high grade of C+. Officials say climate change and more traffic on the water contributed to the lowered grade. A revised Bay Agreement is in the works with goals of improved health and a higher grade on next year's report card. But the proposed cuts to federal agencies by the Trump administration add uncertainty to the situation. President Trump's new budget would slash billions of dollars in funding towards programs that help keep the Bay healthy.
A new show has made its way to the Bowie Playhouse. Into the Woods takes everyone's favorite storybook characters and brings them together for a timeless yet relevant piece. The show tells the story of what happens when everyone's wish is granted and what happens when the consequences of their actions come to haunt them. We caught up with the play's director, Alex Campbell, to find out what he hopes the audience will take away from the production.
Our take on this production was really digging into the familial relationships in the show, and really sort of highlighting how this musical, although it's guised with fairy tales, it's really about real people. And the end result of this is really about putting light and positivity back out in the world.
It's a family. It's not a perfect family. It's a family that has a lot of problems, but it's a family, and it's, it's like reality. We have a lot of dysfunctional families, and it's just one of those.
The next showing for Into the Woods is this Friday at 7:30 p.m. For the full performance schedule or more information, visit secondstarproductions.org. And still to come on CTV News, changes are underway within college athletics.
After the break, we speak with a delegate who's helping student athletes learn their worth. We'll be right back.
James was diagnosed at 3 months old with neuroblastoma. We went from thinking we had a healthy little boy to all of a sudden we had this super serious cancer. It was heartbreaking. He had chemotherapy until he was just under a year old. And at that point, he was in remission.
Went that way for a year and then relapsed February of 2023. And here we are finishing up treatment, hopefully.
The research is extremely important, and anything we can do to support research and find more cures is worth it.
Knowing that it's contributing something, like one more piece of the puzzle to curing this horrible disease. We all want the same thing. We all want our children to live and have long, meaningful lives.
There's a lot of need in the world, and if you're like me, it can seem too big to make a difference. But that's why I decided to start volunteering with Mercy Ships. Dedicating a few weeks or months of my life every year in the service of others has brought me more than I could ever imagine. Plus, I'm getting to meet people from all around the world and make lifelong friends. Hey, Michelle. And with so much to do here, there's an opportunity for everyone to make a difference.
High five.
But the best reason to volunteer is knowing that no matter what you do, you're helping change people's lives every day. Whether it's for 2 weeks, 2 months, or 2 years, when you volunteer with Mercy Ships, you'll find your purpose, your people, and your place in this world. And all you gotta do is visit mercyships.org today. I hope to see you soon.
In the wake of a groundbreaking settlement, student athletes will now have more opportunities to profit off of their play. Beginning on July 1st each year, participating schools, which includes the University of Maryland, can give up to 22% of their average revenue. The revenue comes from media rights, ticket sales, and various sponsorships.
Even though student athletes bring millions of dollars and notoriety to schools every year, athletes and their families may not know how to take advantage of the opportunity. So joining us today to talk about Hustle HQ is Maryland Delegate Denise Roberts. Ms. Roberts, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
So tell us about this event.
So Hustle HQ, which is happening tomorrow evening, is about educating families and athletes, their student athletes, on how to navigate the whole NIL process, what the settlement means for them. And it is also designed to just decode the issues around navigating NIL, because we want to make sure that they're not going to be taken advantage of. And we're going to be talking to them about the legal aspects of everything, how to build their team around them, because this is all information that they need before they even get to college.
And can you talk to us a little bit about the settlement and why it's so important for families and student athletes to understand the settlement?
Sure. It's really important for them to understand, because most people don't even know what NIL, revenue sharing, collectives even mean. And this settlement, as a result of this settlement, there's a whole new game no pun intended, but there's a whole new game out here for our student athletes. And we're going to provide them with coaching and how to navigate this process so that they can get ahead of the game. There's going to be a lot of opportunity here, but if they don't know the information up front, they could miss out on a lot of opportunity.
And a lot of these D1 college athletes, they have a background like LeBron, right? Maybe single parent, or they don't have a lot of means, and sports is their way out. Colleges and universities can do deals with major companies. Prior to this settlement, these student athletes can't, so they can't afford to eat or feed their families or even have a support system. So what is the turning point for these kids, especially if they're not used to moving in the business community?
Absolutely. So, and I'm really glad that you said that, because for a lot of African American athletes, this is their way out of poverty, or this is the way for them to pay for their education. But this opportunity it's just major. And if you don't know how to manage your finances, and trust me, everybody knows that not everybody's going pro. Okay, so this event is not only just for the athletes that are going to go pro afterwards, it's also for the ones who may not. We're going to be talking about what the opportunities are even behind the business of sports, because if you're still interested in the sports industry, there's money to be made. There's lots of opportunity. I mean, the water boy is even able to get NIL deals today. I'm not saying that happens often, but there's opportunity out there. So we're going to be exploring all of that.
And how will this event help, athletes make those informed decisions about college sports?
So we're going to be talking about how to vet your NIL agents. We're going to be talking about compliance and the rules that are happening, the rules and the changes in the rules as a result of this settlement. And this is just going to be one issue, one event that is where we're talking about it all. It's actually turned into a town hall, so to speak, but we're going to be dividing it up into 3 topic areas. We're doing something called Mind Your Sports Business, where we're talking about building your brand, building your team, and what all that means to you. We've got attorneys who's going to be talking about how to vet your agent, how to recognize good deals and bad deals, and how deals need to be structured. And then we're also going to be talking about eligibility. And we're just going to do our best. We're not going to have all the answers at this event, but we do plan to make people aware. That's what this is all about. Start having the conversation so that you can be well informed, so that parents can advocate properly on behalf of their student athletes.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I think I'll come out and learn something.
Yeah,
good.
Thanks
Please
so much
do.
for joining us.
Yep.
Again, Hustle HQ is tomorrow, June 12th at Dr. Henry Wise High School. Doors open at 6 p.m. and the event starts at 7.
Hustle HQ is free to the public. To register, visit the link or scan the QR code on your screen. And don't go away just yet.
That's right, because Simon Buggs is here with our Wednesday Sports page.
They write their sports fans because coming right up, a player from the Washington Commanders makes headlines after skipping out on the start of the team's mandatory minicamp. No move.
What if protecting penguins could help us save pumas? I'm National Geographic explorer Pablo Garcia Borboroglu, and that's exactly what I do. Penguins are a keystone species. When we protect them, we save so many other animals in the sea and on land. National Geographic Society celebrates all of its global explorers who are inspiring us to protect marine species like penguins.
Okay, everyone, it's time for your Wednesday sports page. We go to the NFL world for our first story as the Commanders' next phase of all-season training began yesterday with mandatory minicamp. And there seemed to be one player missing from the workouts as wide receiver Terry McLaurin was absent. The two-time Pro Bowler is currently holding out due to a contract dispute with the team. Head coach Dan Quinn spoke yesterday and addressed the situation.
Sometimes football and business, they intersect, and this is one of those times. Terry is a fantastic teammate and really puts in the work, and spent a lot of time with him already this offseason. So, but let's the business side of things, Adam and their crew and Terry and his group, they'll let them work through that. But in the meantime, lots of stuff to do, and we try to customize as much as we can, Nikki, who can do what, who's in rehab, who can do some things, who can do everything, who needs to see more during this time of year, and who do we need to see less. And so this is one of those times you're really able to customize the script and the work to do that.
Meanwhile, the Baltimore Orioles were in action yesterday against the Detroit Tigers. The game was close through the first 4 innings, with Baltimore only down 2-1 on the Tigers. But in the 5th, Detroit routed off 3 more runs, and Baltimore couldn't get back in the game, losing 5-3. With the Birds getting off to such a rocky start to begin this season, every win is crucial to keeping the team's postseason hopes alive. And manager Tony Mansolino touched on the team being aware of that and how much of a purpose they play with.
They know how important these games are, and I mean, they prepare with incredible urgency every day. I've used that word a lot, and it's in the building. You feel it in the dugout, you feel it in the preparation, you feel how they play. Against Conley, a pretty good 8th inning guy who's having a great year, they gave themselves a shot, right? You bring up the tie and run to the plate in almost drew a walk right there, and then in the 9th inning against Vest, some good swings right there. You get a home run, Urias hits the ball hard. There's no quit, there's no panic, they're competing. Again, the preparation day-to-day is outstanding. You just got to keep playing.
The Birds will try and bounce back in Game 2 of this series with the Tigers tonight at 6:35. And sticking with baseball, the Orioles minor league affiliate in the Chesapeake Bay Sox fell to the Harrisburg Senators yesterday in a close game, 7-6. The team will take the diamond again against Harrisburg tonight at 6:35 also. And finally, the Washington Nationals dropped their series opener against the New York Mets yesterday, losing 5-4. Game 2 will be tonight at 7:10. And that wraps up your Wednesday sports page. Simon Buggs, CTV Sports.
All right, before we go, let's get a look at our 3-day weather forecast. Tonight will be mostly clear with light winds. Tomorrow, it's going to be nice and sunny when we reach a high of 91 degrees. Friday, it's going to be 90 degrees. It'll be mostly sunny, but we have a chance of showers and thunderstorms after 2 p.m. Saturday will be mostly cloudy, but more rain is expected in the afternoon.
And for our community calendar, this Friday, the Long Island medium, Teresa Caputo, will be at MGM National Harbor. A practicing medium for more than 20 years with a fan base in the millions, Teresa surged into the mainstream via 14 seasons of her hit TV show, Long Island Medium. This event takes place at 8 p.m. For tickets or more information, contact 844-346-4664.
And that's all the time we have for CTV News. Thanks so much for joining us.
We'll see you again tomorrow. Good night.